This video is about 9 stupid money mistakes I made in my early 20s. I don't want you to make the same mistakes because honestly, these could all have been avoided. And not only could they have been avoided, all of these mistakes could have been fixed in a matter of minutes. They weren't tied to big life changes or long projects that get me out of track. They were just dumb mistakes. So let's look at them. First mistake was not canceling my credit card in my early 20s. And this was particularly dumb because my credit card had a limit of around 150 euros, which was nothing. But I basically used it out of convenience and I forgot that all of that interest rate just piled up. And I actually had no need for that credit card. So when I went through my big financial transformation, the first thing I did was literally canceling all of my credit cards. I know that in the States, having a credit card can be actually beneficial for your credit score. That doesn't actually happen here in Portugal. So I literally had no reason to hold on to those credit cards. They were just adding up. I didn't actually need to use credits. And it was an actual responsibility I had to keep track of, I had to take care of, and I just prefer my life without them. Second dumb mistake I made was not looking at bank commissions. So once again, I was basically paying to have my money in a bank account. And the thing here is, the amount of money I was paying was basically dependent on the bank that I had chosen. And I basically chose that bank because it was the exact same bank I had since I was kind of a child, so I didn't even consider other options. And there were banks that allowed me to have commission-free transactions and to have my money in a savings account without paying for any commissions. And I simply ignored that fact for a long time. So I just had that money getting out of my bank account every single month, every single year. Everything was adding up and I was just losing money. And this was something that could take me around 15 minutes to solve, just searching for an alternative bank that had a commission-free policy and just change my account. It was as simple as that. Mistake number 3, and this one I just corrected very recently, was not looking at my home banking account every single day. And this may sound obsessive, but the thing that it does for you, it really allows you to control where your money is going, where is it going to, and why is it even leaving your bank account. So everything from recurring expenses, subscriptions, those things that pile on, you don't even notice them, even if they're small, tiny transactions. Like, once again, commissions, fees, transaction fees, everything that piles up and you don't even notice because you do not have the habit of looking at your home banking app every single day. I decided I do not longer wanted that kind of life for myself, and I wanted to know exactly what was going on with my money every single day. Another mistake I made was not adding every single expense to my budget. I was that kind of person that when I was budgeting for the month or for the year, I tended to look only at the big expenses and I basically ignored the tiny things that once again added up in the end. And the problem was not that I wanted to take those small things out of the budget or out of my expenses. The problem was I was not seeing my full financial scenario. So because I was not adding those things up by the end of the month and I was not considering them for my budget, I was always a bit surprised because the numbers did not match in the end. Because I was not considering those small expenses, I was not able to keep up with my financial plan because they were not included in the plan at all, and I was just ignoring that those things add up, even if they look so small in comparison to things like a mortgage or car insurance or car maintenance or paying for electricity and gas and all of those things. Mistake number 5, and this one for me was such a big life changer, was not budgeting very early on a yearly basis for yearly expenses like car maintenance and insurance. What happened beforehand was that once I had those kind of yearly bills arriving at my doorstep, I was like, oh, I have to get this money out of my emergency fund or out of my savings because I did not account for this. So what I do now is I basically add up all yearly expenses, I divide those by 12, and I save that money every single month on a kind of envelope, kind of a digital vault. And every time one of those bills arrives, the only thing I have to do is take the money out of that vault, and it doesn't really compromise my savings and it doesn't compromise my monthly expenses. Mistake number 7, and I lost so much money because of this. I did not start selling used items early on in my life. I was always that person that, either tried to find someone who could get the item even if they didn't actually need to have that item, or I just kept it in a drawer, or I kept it on my wardrobe. And very recently, around 1 or 2 years ago, what I started doing was selling used clothing and selling used gadgets like an iPhone I wasn't using anymore, or any other sort of gadget. I was able to trade it in for way less money. I didn't start doing that in the beginning because I thought it was such a lot of trouble. And I also never really found a platform I felt comfortable and I found easy enough to sell those items. And that's when I started using Vinted last year, and it was really, really helpful and very easy to sell things over there. And I was able to make some money out of selling those items, and I was able to save that money for those yearly expenses. So win-win situation. Mistake number 8, once again, I learned this way too late in my life, and there was literally no reason for not doing this. I basically refused because I was feeling way too overwhelmed to learn more about investing. And it was definitely a subject that I was not feeling very in control of. And instead of facing the challenge and sitting down with the books and sitting down with literally the internet and start learning more about it, I decided to ignore it for most of my 20s. And I regret it so much because if I was able to learn about it beforehand, I would have started investing earlier on. And once again, literally no excuses. Everyone can learn about investing, even if it's not the right solution for you right now, and it may not be the right solution. Learning more about it is something that is free. It takes just a bit of time, and getting started earlier on is way better than always trying to search for that perfect financial scenario, because probably that will actually never happen in your life. The perfect financial scenario will never happen. Mistake number 9, and this one is the most abstract, but once again, literally no excuses. I never allowed myself for a wide margin of error whenever I was calculating expenses or budgeting for the month or the year. I basically always planned for the best possible scenario, which was ridiculous because usually what happened was that best possible scenario never really happened because people are humans and sometimes you end up incurring in expenses you are not planning for. And as I was doing that, what basically happened was all of my budget, my financial plan literally went off track, and I felt so bad for that. And basically I solved that issue the minute I started budgeting and I started making plans for a wider margin of error. So instead of thinking, oh, maybe I have to incur in X amount of non-accounted for expenses this month, I just started, increasing that X value so that if something happened, I was not jeopardizing the whole integrity of my plan. And one of the things that can always do wonders for your financial health is increasing your income. So learning a new skill like coding can help you search for new opportunities. And you can learn about programming by taking a computer science fundamentals course or taking the programming with Python course, which teaches you about command outputs and so much more. You can take both courses on Brilliant.org, who's kindly sponsoring today's video. Brilliant has thousands of lessons from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, neural networks, and more, with new lessons added monthly. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that teaches about math, science, computer science, and many other subjects. The whole concept behind Brilliant is to allow you to be very hands-on, so you can learn a lot of new things without ever having to memorize entire textbooks. If you want to learn more, you can try out Brilliant for free for 30 days, and if you are one of the first 200 people to click the link down below, you'll get a 20% discount off your annual premium subscription. For this, all you have to do is visit brilliant.org/Mariana to get started on your learning journey. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I will see you next week. Bye guys!